Today is Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and since I am both disabled and a gamer, I figured it was only fitting for me to make a video on this topic. Basically, Global Accessibility Awareness Day, or GAAD, or GAAD for short, is a day to raise awareness for digital accessibility for the disabled community. Today, I'm going to be talking about some common issues that I see accessibility-wise in some of the video games that I play myself. If you would like to know more in-depth information about the accessibility of any of the games featured in this video, or any other games, whether it be video games, tabletop games, or mobile games, as well as various gaming-related gear and how accessible that is, feel free to check out my podcast, Accessibility in Gaming, where in each episode I discuss a game or gaming-related accessory, whether that be an app, headphones, computer, whatever the case may be, and their accessibility, successes, and setbacks. But for this video, I'm just going to kind of cover multiple games and the common issues that I see within those games. This is just my experience. This does not relate to all blind people or all disabled people. This is just what I've encountered and what has been difficult for me as a disabled person. A massive issue that I see in basically every single game that I play, at least when it comes to video games, is the text. Whether the font is too small or the font is too fancy and showy, making it difficult to read in that way, or the game is too text heavy, whatever the case may be, I always run into some sort of text-based issue in every video game that I play that is not specifically made for blind people. I will include some examples here on the screen of some of the specific instances that I run into. For example, in The Sims, there is quite a bit of text. For one thing, you have all of the menus that you have to navigate through. Not only the main menu whenever you first load up the game, but also the in-game options menu where you can save the game, exit the game, pull up settings, things like that. But also in terms of gameplay for things like using your Sim's phone or planning a social event, or even reading the text in the corner of the screen talking about various events that are happening, such as there's a fire, or your Sim is off to work, or your Sim got a promotion, and all of this text is too small, at least for me personally. In some situations, such as in Phasmophobia or Fall Guys, for example, there will be some text that is large enough to read, and even in a plain enough font style that I actually can read it, but the vast majority of the text in those games is still very small and or in a very fancy font style, which makes it difficult to read. A big example of this is the journal in Phasmophobia. The font style is difficult to read, so even with magnification, I still sometimes have a hard time knowing what things say. The Sims and Phasmophobia are the two games that I play the most, so I run into the font issue in those a lot more. But like I said, it happens in every game. Fall Guys and Tetris Effect Connected, while the text in them isn't in a fancy font style, most of it is too small. Going along with that, as I mentioned before, some games are very text heavy. The Sims being one of them, like I said, but also horror games. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you should be able to play horror games just fine even though you can't see because it's so audio-based.